with regard to operations of the Blue Line in particular, we all know that we have publicized that the Blue Line is going to be an electrified rail system, and with the third rail system. What that means is that the electrification will be along the track. And for us, that means that it has no tolerance. If you want to cross from one side to the other, you must use the overhead bridges. This is a necessity for all of us to understand. We have, as a government, been very responsible, and we have fenced all along the alignment for the Blue Line to ensure that people do not cross it. But what we see time and time again is that people go there and they cut the fences and they run across. This is fine until we electrify. And we need to understand that this is not acceptable. Not because Lamata is saying don't do it, but because it is a matter of life and death. It is a health and safety issue. Anywhere in the world, this is the way it functions. And if we want to develop, we need to begin to understand that this is the way we're headed for a sustainable rail system that is good for emissions. Electrified rail is the way forward. And when your rail is electrified, then we must not interface with it. So we ask this, and we ask that the people be responsible and understand that it is mandatory that nobody crosses the tracks. We bother to put pedestrian crossings, there's access for the physically challenged, and therefore we have no reason to cross the track. So we just ask that the people please respect this and respect the rails, because if we don't, we will find ourselves in very, very dire straits indeed.
Lamata, keeping Lagos moving.
You recollect that when we came in 2019, Agric-Ishawu was a project that we needed to take drastic action. People, you actually were showing, on channels in particular, you were always showing canoe, you show the man with the canoe and then all of it. I must say, as at to date, about 52% of that project has been completed. There is no reason for delay on that project. That project has been well funded. The entire stretch. It's a 7-kilometer long road. Coming on board, we've had to do some redesigns at about the outfall towards the bridge end. So you had issues around there. That was redesigned. And then you also had pedestrian bridges, some in place because it's a major stretch. So all of the redesign work took place when we came in. The issue of the outfalls to ensure that you get water to discharge to the proper outfalls was also managed. You had issues around completed right-of-way acquisition. So for the lines on the 33 kV lines to be relocated, because not all of them were relocated as at the time when the contractor moved to site. So all of those ones have been done. You've had a lot of mass casting in the Ibadan yard of the contractor, all the long beams. If you go to the bridge side, the critical aspect of the work now is at the bridge location site, where you see the outfall, and the contractor is contending with two issues: to manage the upstream, the water coming from the upstream, how it comes in, so that what they have dammed to allow the bridge work to commence, it doesn't run over it. At the same time, you are controlling what exactly gets discharged at the outer end. So those are problems that the contractor is managing, which is really not a big problem. But you also will have to launch the beams. Those beams have been precasted in Ibadan yard of the contractor, which most people will not see and are not aware of. And by the time you are 52% on a project, that's almost like halfway. That tells you that you can go the entire stretch of the 7 kilometer, and pedestrians can use that while the contractor will switch over to the other side to deliver the remaining 7 kilometer. Even on the 7 kilometer side, you will see that a lot of drains, speaker stains have been done. What they are now doing is the recycling, using the Rex machine, stabilizing, and then they put the base course, the crushed stone base, and be able to lay the interlocking stone. People can use the entire stretch of the road, inclusive of the bridge, halfway, while the shifts to the other side to deliver the remaining half. So in terms of also the flooding, we have, like I said, the contractor has managed to contain the flooding at the two ends. So it's like you're walking, it's a egg and a chicken kind of phenomenon that you have. While you've dammed that place, you're managing what you're doing so that you can do your bridge works. You're watching the flow at the same time at the upstream and at the downstream. So the people that experienced flooding, this last rainfall, if they must be honest, they will admit that it was not as bad as last year, because they've opened several outfalls. The only outfall that they did not open fully was to monitor and to control the flooding that will have run off on the bank of the bridge that present work is going on. So for Obasekumade, that's one of the projects that we're doing in Ikorodu, and we're doing several of those in Ikorodu. Ikorodu is one area that we recognize that for you to get people move out from the central part of Lagos, we needed to fix most of those roads. So it's not an accident that Agric-Ishawo is under consideration, Igbogbo is under consideration, Obasekumade is under consideration, Ijede is under consideration, Berigbe is under consideration, Bayeku is under consideration. So that's the reason why we're doing that. So Obasekumade is one road that had been done 3 times over, but we didn't address the critical problem. But this time around, we've decided to solve it totally in and out. As at today, the contractor is about 93%. And by end of the month, end of next month, they will be ready for commissioning. What we're presently doing is the snagging. And like you said 2 weeks ago when you went there, you saw that a lot of work, they're in the finishing stages. What they're doing now is just essentially to cast the last filigree slab, the deck slab, in the remaining span, Ikorodu bound. I was on that site 2 days ago, and I'm happy to say that, yes, the contractor will keep to the side of the bargain to deliver next month. So nothing is holding Igbogbo Bayeku beyond due process. So Mr. Governor, at the work tour that he had in Ijede local government, Ikorodu, about 4 months or 5 months ago, he did pronounce to say Igbogbo Bayeku will be done. And so a lot of people believe that the contractor will move the following day to site. In government, everybody knows that there's a due process. So between when a pronouncement is made and when the contractor moves to site, due process has to come in. And that has been concluded. The contractor has actually moved to site. Like I said, I was on site 2 days ago, and I actually saw Mrs. Arab contractors excavating, not only just excavating and the blinding, they were placing the drain wall slabs at chainage 250, that stretch. I actually took a tour up to the pipeline location where you have the gas pipeline crossing. So they are very much on ground now. The real work has started at Berigbe. And for Igbogbo Bayeku is one road that is being undertaken by the Public Works Corporation. So for you to do a road, even though it's a Public Works Corporation, there's even still a due process to it. So what will you do? You will do your outfalls because you want your drain to discharge properly. So there's a drain in Nasfat area. There's a drain outfall to the recognized Office of Drainage Services provided outfall. It's at the Nasfat area. What Mrs. PwC is doing right now is to discharge all of the construction work around there, and which I'm sure as at 2 days ago, they will have achieved about 300 meters of that construction work on the outfall. That's fact. Anybody can go there and you will see that that outfall is actually under construction. Once your outfall is done, you can then start fixing your main road. The precast units are being produced in the Public Works Corporation yard, so it's easy from that immortal end to move in the precast on the excavated drain line and begin to place. But when you place it, should there be any rainfall, it must go into the outfall. So you start from your outfall, your lowest end, your discharge. That's exactly where they have started from. And for me, it's something of joy to see your Public Works Corporation get up to the level that they begin to work like a Public Works Corporation. So they're not just to fix potholes and fix potholes on the roadway, but they begin to do real construction work. Because ultimately, given all of the pressure on the Naira, what we see, you would have to see your Public Works Corporation come in and do a lot, much more than they've been doing before. So Igbogbo is also under consideration. Mrs. High Tech is doing that. If you go on that road, you will see at the spot, the bridge location spot. So they are right now in the bridge location spot, and they should be ready to cast any of their beams now. The bridge portion is the critical part of the work. So you want to finish that bridge section, which is the critical part, and then come on back on your roadway. So give or take, I want to be sure maybe by end of our administration that road is completed. You know, each time that I hear people say, I need a road somewhere, what I keep telling people is this money is going to come from revenues. To construct this road, it will ultimately come from taxes and revenues. But my challenge is that when government provides this infrastructure, we're not able to take ownership. And what am I saying this? On the way to Ibeshe, you go through the Ibeshe Road. Ibeshe Road was done during the time of Governor Fashola. Beautiful road. But if you go there during the time of this tour, you will see some form of deformation on the roadway coming out of excessive axle loadings. The jetties. Ibeshe is a jetty where sand sellers are there. They're there, the quantum of loads that they carry, unregulated, excess, you will see, because those deformations will only arise on those roads because you are loading. Those deformation is actually a cyclical loading coming from excess axle loadings. There are no weigh bridges, nobody regulates what they carry, and ultimately they spoil the road, which was a major consideration why the Shekumade Road, which is a major arterial of Ogolonto, was done in rigid pavement. For most of the rigid pavements that we have subjected it to so much abuse that no matter what government does, within 10, 15 years, that road gets bad. And that's, for me, it's the greatest challenge as taxpayers, as road users, and motorists to say, when they give us this infrastructure, when government provides this infrastructure, how do we use them? What are we doing? How do we conform to regulations when they say, go on a weigh bridge? Don't carry more than these axle loadings. When you carry in excess of this one, it attracts a penalty. Because it's one thing for you to want to make several trips, but people don't realize the implication of what they are doing to the roadway. So I think that Ibeshe Road, government will have, public works corporation will have to come in immediately so that we can keep that road in good shape. That was a road that was done less than 15 years ago. If you design a road very well, good drainage outfalls, there is no reason why that road shouldn't serve you minimum less than 25 to 30 years. If you see it less than that, it has been subjected to one form of abuse or the other. And that's exactly what Ibeshe Road is seeing right now. So as a government, we have taken that road, we take it seriously because it speaks to our intermodal, it complements our intermodal transport agenda. If that road is good, people will be able to go on it quickly, they get to the jetty, and within 15 minutes, they can get to Victoria Island. You actually will see Victoria Island right at Ibeshe Jetty, you see Victoria Island in front of you. And that tells us that there are so many things, we can reduce congestion on the road with the use of this jetty. But we can use this jetty when the roads that approach, that go towards the jetty are done. We've done it before, it's been bastardized now, so we'll go quickly in and fix it. So my appeal is to the sand dredgers around there, and then the large articulated trucks, to be mindful of the regulations, and there are government regulations as to stipulated axle loadings that they must carry. When you go in excess of it, you actually pay $1 million per ton in excess. So when government comes tomorrow and says, I want to begin to enforce this, people shouldn't feel bad. The regulations, the laws are there. It's only that we're not complying. And we're not conforming to what those regulations are. So the T-junction work was in the early years of this administration, between 2019 and 2021. We did some revamping around the T-junctions by the Ministry of Transport. Essentially was to ease the congestion and bottleneck that you have. Normally when you have a roundabout, you can exhaust your circulation. And so it would pay you to actually have a signalized traffic management system as against the roundabout method of channeling traffic. And that's exactly what we did. That saw us doing the second, third, fourth roundabout all across. And we'll keep going till we're able to reduce all of the gridlock that you have along that corridor. So that's a program under the Ministry of Transport. But to date, we have done up to beyond the Chevron end. That has been done all across those roundabouts, previous roundabouts, into signalized traffic management systems. I told you about the road that we have done in Iwaya. Surulere has also had some road, Jimo Dutola. Yeah. And I need to talk about containers. You know, when you do a road, I told you about abuse. It's important, abuse. take ownership. The other day something went viral. Everybody's saying 4-tier bridge. Somebody who needs a 4-tier bridge, you have to be disciplined. It's not the one that before you finish providing infrastructure, people are already stealing your railings. You can't afford to steal railings on a 4-tier bridge because then they hide. One good thing about this administration is that development is not constituted in just one location. There's a spread. There's a spread across the Ibile. So just as you have in Alimosho, you have in Ikorodu, you also have in Ekpe. What do you have in Ekpe? In Ekpe, you have Surveyor Yakubu Road. That's so from the main expressway coming all the way, Surveyor Yakubu Road is the road that tees off at that expressway. And then you also have Reverend Braithwaite Road. So it's like a cul-de-sac, it goes round. That's done. But that's aside from the 18.75 rigid pavement that we just finished in Ekpe. So those are 3 roads aside the constituency roads that you also have. So you have a lot of constituency roads in Ekpe, aside from Reverend Braithwaite, aside from Surveyor Yakubu Road, all in Ekpe. We're also doing the road to the marina. You recollect that the last administration, the roads that go to the toll gates, Ijebode, there was ongoing construction work, which the state government, as soon as we came on board, there's no point for you to have a road with its binder in place and you don't seal it up. In no time, if you don't seal it up, you have cracks on your pavement. So the first set of things that we did coming in this administration was to ensure that the roads provided by the last administration, we go back and seal up all of the pavements. It had only just a first layer bitumen, asphalted pavement on it. So we did all of that sealing up. And then we tried to go and finish up the roads in the various segments. So you have the segment that goes towards the marina. You know, when you are by the fish, when you're going by the marina, so you see a road. That road leads down. It goes down. So that's we're working on that road now so that we can also finish it. That way we can tidy it up and go back towards the toll gates close to the border of Ogun State. Because Ogun State has built their own segment. And so what we're doing is to try to jam up their own, and then the toll gates we can share. That's the essence of the Joint Development Commission. That we can begin to collect our taxes in a technologically faster manner that is suitable to both parties, and you do not need to have several toll plazas. So we can sync all of this together. And there are modern ways of doing that. So the Lagos State government and Ogun State government is assiduously working at that SPV that we can do that ensures that both parties will get advantage of it. Given the fact that Lagos State has done a lot of the road network development and Ogun State is just coming and linking up theirs. So both parties will take advantage of what has happened. There's also a lot of development around the Dangote side, the Bejuleki side. Mrs. Dangote is intending to build the Bejuleki road from that Eleko junction down to the refinery. So that is going on, given the fact that the Lekki Deep Sea Port is almost open for business.
Great economies are built on good transportation network. This is why Lagos State Government through Lamata has been working tirelessly to enhance the state's transport infrastructure and implement the Strategic Transport Master Plan (STMP) for Lagos and create a world-class transport network for the metropolis. The STMP would deliver 6 rail lines, 1 monorail, 14 BRT routes, 26 water transport routes, 3 cable car routes, and several road interventions to promote the integration of the transport modes. When all these projects are completed, there will be lower emission, leading to better health for all, lower road crashes, better quality of life, and faster economic growth. With the BRT already running in some corridors, jetties being upgraded, and rail line from Okokomaiko to CMS coming on board soon, life of Lagosians in the face of Lagos is changing every day. A healthier and more prosperous Lagos is in the making, and Lamata is driving it. Lamata, keeping Lagos moving.
So I would speak to the fact, so a lot of people mix up the areas. there's Ogun State, so borders also some border towns. The regulations for collection of taxes are clear. Who takes what percentage? I think over time we have worked it out, whether people live there or not. For roads that fall within the purview of Lagos State, you can be rest assured that we will assiduously work at fixing them. They will not all be fixed in a jiffy, but we are working towards them. If you come out from PwC, going towards it, so Ojodubaga, so we take up on some roads, and quick roads are being conducted. So Ojodubaga, Kosoko is already done now. Limsi Road is done. Those are roads that begin to speak. You are teledoving into Ogun State. So you don't say that because something is Ogun State. You do them on the basis of connectivity, and if they will make your own people commute faster. But you will not expect Lagos State government to go and fix Songwater Road or Lagos Abeokuta Road because it's not in the purview of Lagos State, even though a lot of Lagosians live there. So I think it's good for us to understand where these lines are so that we can accurately point to what needs to be done and when it must be done, and then we are speaking to the correct agency to do the work. The other thing that I must note, so apart from Alimosho, in all of this, what is important, like I always say, you can never build enough roads, but you can improve on your intermodal connectivity, intermodal transport connectivity. So whatever project we pick here in Ministry of Works to do, there are projects that would align also with Lamata. I want to do a road that leads to a jetty so that people can actually go by that road, park at that jetty, and take the boat ride to their various destinations. You will notice in all of the roads that Ministry of Works is doing, either for Ishefun Camp Davis, either for Ishuti, either for Dibeshe, either for, there's a road now during the time of Governor Babu Fashola, there's a road that goes to the, so it's by the trade fair, it's after trade fair, Alaba International. So you have the bridge at the jetty where the Sifax jetty is. There's a road there. You take it, and then of course there is a jetty there. We have even done the car park for that jetty so that people can come in there. So what we're just doing is we're ensuring that all of these areas, we identify them. Once you do a road that has a jetty at the end, people can take it. Shekumade is also another one. The inland terminal, you see the trucks coming in. Straight, you can take it waterways. Last boats are there. You take Ishefun Camp Davis, just go in. Ishuti, the same. Straight to Atarabekuta, Totori. Or you can go straight to Agbara Badagry. If you are at Ibeshe, you can straight connect to Victoria Island. That's the whole idea. So there's also another jetty. As you are doing Berigbe, there's a jetty towards it now that we're looking into so that we can also make sure that people can connect it. That way, you open up the waterways for use. I just want Lagosians to trust and believe in us. I keep saying it, Lagos is lucky in the sense that there is an STMP, there's a strategic transport master plan. The networks are there, either for rail, for road, and so you just develop them in phases. Once you finish one, you go into the next one. They're like dotted lines. You just need to connect. So you're not doing anything, you're not reinventing the wheel. You might do some few modifications based on developments, you might tweak, but you're not having to totally reinvent. I think that's the beauty of it about Lagos. And Lagos is lucky to have at the saddle of its leadership men that know exactly their onions. And so let Lagosians, I just want to appeal for them to trust us, to have belief in us. It will eventually get there. It's just a matter of time. PwC will come to the inner roads, and then of course for the main arterials, the Ministry of Works will keep doing all of those ones.